Okay, so our today's class will be conducted on these Lawrence's Sons and Lovers. So the writer of Sons and Lovers, the writer of Lady Chatterley's Lover, the writer of Women in Love, the writer of The Rainbow and the Kangaroos, D.H. Lawrence. He is a famous 20th century writer. And he was born and brought up in the east-west city of London, named Nottinghamshire, in 1885. That city, the Nottinghamshire, is a city of several coal mines. You know, the coal mines. That means this city is a combination of several coal mines, and the people who work in those coal mines would be living in this city, that means the Nottinghamshire. And Lawrence's father, Arthur, also worked for this coal mine, one of these coal mines. And his father, Arthur, said in one of his speech that, yeah, I started working in coal. That means in coal, not coal. Coal, actually pronunciation will be coal. Lawrence's father said in one of his speech that I started working in a coal mine when I was 12. It means that Lawrence's father belonged to a lower class family. However, Lawrence's mother, Lydia, belongs to a middle class family. You see the snapshot of the Nottinghamshire strip. Okay, Nottinghamshire can be compared as a division, just like the division of Bangladesh. Yeah. So this area, basically, you will see so many coal mines in this area. So what I said, that means Lawrence's father worked in one of the mines in this area. That means Lawrence's father belonged to a lower class family. However, Lawrence's mother, Lydia, belonged to a middle class family. And so, belonging to a middle class family, Lawrence's mother had a affluent familial heritage or lineage. However, next time Lydia's family got the financial problem, and Lydia started doing a job to support their family. Okay. So in this life, D.S. Lawrence grew. And D.S. Lawrence, in one of his lectures, said that, yeah, I forget everything in my life, but one thing I can't forget, that I grew up in the coal mining city, Nottinghamshire, and especially the moors, that means the marsh area, that is the working class area, that area and that experience gave me the receptive right thing. That is D.S. Lawrence in his speech, he has said. And what we will read in this course, that means the D.S. Lawrence as the Sons and Lovers, you will see the same thing, that is the D.S. Lawrence's own practical experience we will see in this novel. So the growing up of Lawrence in a coal mining family called Nottinghamshire played a vital role in forming the mentality of the young writer, that is D.S. Lawrence. And also, as I have said, that D.S. Lawrence's father belonged to a lower class family, that means a coal miner, and Lawrence's mother belonged to a middle class family, that is Lydia. So in their marriage, that means the marriage between D.S. Lawrence's father and mother has a matched marriage relationship. That means the marriage between the lower class people and the rich people or the middle class people. And that is one of the themes of D.S. Lawrence's novel you will be noticing next time when we will be dealing the text. So that was the incident. And also, T.S. Lawrence has been a famous writer of the 20th century for dealing with some aspects. That means he dealt with several genres of literature. That means at the age of 12, he started writing poetry. And next time, he started writing novels. And he started writing at the age, at the ending part of his life, he wrote criticism. That means he had, D.S. Lawrence has had the mastery of writing several genres of literature, and he became famous. And also he was very much precise, linguistic precision. That means he would write a thing with a very short gamut. And that was also one of his contribution towards the writing of the 20th century, especially the 20th century English fiction. And for this reason, he is placed before, after Virginia Woolf, like other writers of the 20th century. And another thing that I have said at the initial stage, that means the match relationship, that means what happens to the mentality of the uh, husband and wife who are not married with the bond of their mutual understanding. That means the mixed match relationship. So D.S. Lawrence has dealt with the psychological complexity of 20th century characters. And that is his important theme, one of the important themes. And as last one, that is when his Lady Chatterley's Lover was published, and that novel was banned in USA in 1959, and next time until 1959, and next time it was banned in UK in 1960. For what? For what? That means actually when D.H. Lawrence was born and grew up, that society was a very conservative society. Religion, society, and the ethics all amalgamated in a complex way. And the physical relationship or the love relationship or the female expression of physical union, or you can say that the female expression of sexuality was a taboo at the time of the society. D.S. Lawrence, our lover, our writer, dealt that issue with his own experience and also gave the female sexuality in broad daylight, in a vivid way, in a picturesque way, in a very clear way. And for this reason, his novel, The Lady Chatterley's Lover, and the other novel were banned in USA and UK. That means before T.S. Lawrence, anybody couldn't handle the idea of female sexuality so explicitly in their writing. And this is our novel T.S. Lawrence did. And with all this contribution towards the 20th century fiction, D.H. Lawrence became one of the famous writers of the 20th century. And especially, he was a very good student. At the age of 12, he got a scholarship to get himself admitted, win a scholarship to Nottingham High School. And he started over there, and he started writing many things regarding the creative things and something else. Okay, but one thing I can tell you that grew up in a coal mining city. Our writer, that means T.H. Lawrence, was fragile in his health. So he couldn't do well in sports, and also he is weak in mentality, and also he is very shy to make friends with others. And one of his lectures, he said that yes, always I had been the idea of the dark side of Nottinghamshire coal mining area in my life. And for this reason, his ill health and his fragile physical condition make him not to make friends with others. But he was a very brilliant student, and also he got good scholarship to Nottingham Special School when he was uh, only 12 years old. And for and again for the same reason, he graduated later. That means he graduated in 1901. Okay, and then he moves to study he, he started to do a job in a Nottingham surgical appliance manufacturer. That means our writer, D.H. Lawrence, started his career as a Nottingham surgical appliance manufacturer's employee. So there he stayed over there, but once again, he got ill and he returned. And when he returned to England, he started teaching in a British school in Eastward that I have said that is the same reason where he was grew up. And there he got in love with, with his lover, with his beloved Jessie Chambers. And this Jessie inspired D.S. Lawrence much to be a writer. And with the help of Jessie, he wrote many things, and especially one of them can be called The White Peacock. He wrote with the influence of his lover, beloved Jessie Chambers. And next time he published another novel, that is the Trespasser, and also the White Peacock, and that was published in Nottingham Guardian in 1907. And that was going on in such a way. Okay, and he started teaching, and then he moved his job from the surgical appliance manufacturer to the teaching job. And next time he moved to London, and he started writing many things. And the publisher of the English Review took a great interest of Lawrence's work, and next time he started writing his novel and other things based on this theme, that is mismatched marriages and the classic device. That means the classical or the social class division that we find in the society. And again, in 1912, we see that D.S. Lawrence started started to work under a professor, that is the Nottingham professor, Ernest Weekly, to solicit advice about his future and his writing. Actually, uh, D.H. Lawrence started this job under the guidance of Nottingham professor Ernest Weekly, and to be a lawyer over there and to get some money that can support himself in his life. But very desperately, we have seen that D.S. Lawrence fall in love with professor's wife. And with that couple, D.S. Lawrence, with that professor's wife, D.S. Lawrence moved to Germany and started traveling to Italy and everywhere. Okay. And with that time, in those time, D.S. Lawrence wrote other writings, that is the daughter-in-law in the daughter-in-law in 1912, and also a year later he published his first poem, that is Poetry, Loves, and Friends and Others. So in this way, and at the time later he published his novel Sons and Lovers in 1913, and that is an autobiographical novel, and it became famous in one of his writings, one of his novels. But next time, the First World War started, and he started to stay back in UK, and but the UK government didn't allow him to go out at the time of the First World War in 1919. The First World War finally ended, and Lawrence once again departed England for Italy. So he went over there, and there he wrote, he received, and he revised and published Women in Love in 1920. And again, he wrote some other poems, and especially in the last years, he wrote The Lady Chatterjee's Lover and The Final World. And having after the publication of Lady Chatterjee's Lovers, that is that I have said at my initial stages, that the Lady Chatterjee's Lover vividly expressed the picture of women's sexuality that was a taboo at that time. But for writing such kind of novel, that novel was banned in USA and in UK. And whenever the judgment was going on whether the novel will be published or will be published in UK or USA, then at the time the judge asked that questions: is it a book that you would have lying around the house? Is it a book you would wish your wife and servants to read? Okay, so the jury's decision to allow publication of Lady Chatterjee's Lover is considered a turning point in the history of freedom of expression and the open discussion of sex in popular culture. That means after 1960, the Lady Chatterjee's Lover got approval for publication, and that approval gave the approval towards the expression of ideas and towards the expression of women's sexuality all over the world. That was a taboo before that. And for this reason, our writer is one of the famous 20th century fiction writers. Okay, and later on, he again fallen in, and his final work was a critique of Western religion titled Apocalypse and the Last Poems, both of which were published in 1930. And T.S. Lawrence died in Paris, France on March 2, 1930 at the age of 44. And for his contribution towards 20th century English fiction, Lawrence is now widely considered alongside James Joyce and Virginia Woolf. James Joyce dealt with the psychological aspects, as we have understood when we had been completing our previous novel or novella. And we haven't dealt with the Virginia Woolf that will be dealing at the 5th text of your course. Here we will see that Virginia Woolf dealt with the women and fiction, especially the female and women sexuality, in very well. And the women, especially the women and their writing and their position in the society, everything had been dealt well by Virginia Woolf. And our writer, that means T.S. Lawrence, dealt with the psychological complexity, just like James Joyce, and dealt with the feminism and feminist notion related that is quite synonymous to Virginia Woolf's theme. And for this reason, D.S. Lawrence has been one of the famous writer of 20th century. So D.S. Lawrence was born in Nottinghamshire in a coal mining.
রত্না একটু মিউট করো।
D.S. Lawrence, let me recap. This is D.S. Lawrence, born in the
রত্না খাতুন মিউট করো।
So D.S. Lawrence was born in Nottinghamshire in a coal mining area or city in the eastward part of England. And there he grew in a coal mining family where his father was a coal miner, and his mother was a middle class family member. And there D.S. Lawrence got the experience of writing his novels, and inspired by the experience that he has learned in his life, he wrote many novels and poems as well, and criticism as well, that dealt with the mismatched marriage relationship, the class division, between poor and rich, and the psychological complexity, and also dealt with the women sexual expression. And for this reason, T.S. Lawrence has been a famous writer, and he is blessed after, alongside, not after, alongside Virginia Woolf and James Joyce. Okay, so thank you very much for attending the class.